Alright, Mr. Koble back with another video. This one is about the American Revolution, designed for 8th graders. I teach in San Diego, California, and hopefully you get something really good out of this. Just a heads up, there are a lot of video clips in here, like 75% of it's video, and I don't know if YouTube would be chill with that, with me uploading something that's like 95% other YouTube clips. So I probably won't play the Hamilton songs, but I'll put the whole presentation up on Google Classroom so you can look at it whenever you want. So we're going to start off with a little bit of recap of these. Basically, how did we get to the point that we are at in 17? How did we get from 1620 to 1775?
The successful raid is a chance for unlikely allies to find common ground.
We have found the Indians very faithful in their covenant of peace with us. They are people without any religion or knowledge of any god, yet very trusty, quick of apprehension, ripe-witted, and just.
Pilgrims and Poconoket seal their friendship with a meal. In time, it will become a celebration every American recognizes: Thanksgiving.
One of the main themes in the founding of America was a place to do business, a place to expand your horizons, a place to live a life of your own, practice your own religion. Those are the basic themes that brought people to these shores to colonize.
The success of these colonists begins a period of prosperity and rapid expansion. From Jamestown and Plymouth, their descendants spread out across the Atlantic seaboard. Tens of thousands more Europeans followed them across the Atlantic in search of a better life. Within a century and a half, they found 13 separate colonies. From Jamestown, agriculture spreads across the south. Dirt farms are transformed into sprawling plantations. Irish, Germans, and Swedes push back the frontier. The Dutch bring commerce to a small island at the mouth of the Hudson River. First called New Amsterdam, it is soon renamed New York. Within a few generations, the colonists are an average of 2 inches taller than their English counterparts. Their children are twice as likely to reach adulthood. They're 20% wealthier and pay only a quarter of the tax. Many still regard themselves as British subjects, but the strains are beginning to show. Nowhere more so than in Boston.
Cool. So that's how you can kind of see how it's kind of coming all together from the very beginning. Continuing on with our recap, some events leading up to Revolution are in 1754 to 1760. The debt from the French-Indian War, which was not between the French and the Indians, it was between the French and the British. Indians fought on both sides. Anyway, debt from the war is the reason that the British passed all these taxes in the first place. If there's no French-Indian War, the British don't have to pass things like the Sugar Act, Stamp Act, etc., etc., etc. So the causes and the acts that they do pass: Sugar Act, Stamp Act, Tea Act, basically anything. Anything you can buy, they put a tax on. Then the Intolerable Acts are also were designed to punish the colonists for the Boston Tea Party. But anyway, if you want to know more about the Sugar Act and the Boston Tea Party, I'll play both actually.
I'm hurt, Britain, I'm breaking down. I was a merchant merchant of great renown. I traded products to the 13 colonies, baby, from the Caribbean. I don't wanna be feeding you tax. I don't like the sound of your accent. It's killing my business each day. Ooh, Britain, cause I really don't care for your laws. I just wanna look out for my cause, and I really just don't wanna pay your sugar duties. Won't you keep your tax away from me? I'm right here, and I need little room to keep on smuggling. Yeah, I made a good living, made it alright. Now your little sugar act makes things tight. Sugar, oh please, won't you keep your tax away from me? My brown molasses I sold with ease. It was so cheap to get from the West Indies. Then you came along and you passed a law on April 5th of 1764. I don't want you searching cargo, I just don't know how far you'll go, and you're killing the rum industry. Ooh, Britain, cause I really don't care for you fools. I'm gonna keep bending your rules, or it means less profit for me. On sugar, you see, won't you keep your tax away from me? I'm right here and angry at Great Britain and the dumb Navy. Yeah, they know that I'm a smuggler, sneaking through the night. Now that custom guards are extra tight. On sugar duties, keep your tax away from me. I want that Lord Grenville, Britain's Prime Minister, to axe his greedy act. To me it's sinister. 1 gallon used to be 6 pence in tax till he reduced the cost per gallon from 6 pence right down to 3. But I don't wanna pay it, see, and he won't get a cent from me. He'll give me all that tax, I'm working duty free. That's my sugar, it was cheap, so keep your tax away from me. I'm right here, cause I need to support the 13 colonies. I sell them good molasses, make a tidy sum, add a little sweetness to their rum. Sugar, yes please, won't you keep your tax away from me? Sugar, yes please, from the French part of the West Indies. I'm right here, and I need little less of Britain's tyranny. I know that Britain taxes their other colonies, but can I be exempt, pretty please? From sugar duties, won't you keep your tax away from me? Away from me.
I'm sure all of you loved that and didn't think it was cringy at all. So other things that happened related to the revolution is that colonists got big mad and things get messy. They start tarring and feathering tax collectors, which is very painful. You dip boiling oil on them and you cover them with bird feathers. And then they also just straight up kill them sometimes and hang them from the city square. But one of the biggest things that they do is when the Tea Act gets passed, this group called the Sons of Liberty, which I guess would be a terrorist group if you think about it. It's interesting. If you could totally rebrand the Boston Tea Party as an act of domestic terrorism. But anyway, this group basically dresses up like Native Americans and disguise themselves and board a British tea ship and basically throw millions of dollars of tea into the Boston harbor. So, yeah.
The Boston Tea Party, December 16th, 1773. The Boston Tea Party was a protest against British taxation. In 1773, the British Parliament passed the Tea Act,
This meant that the British East India Company had a monopoly on the American tea trade. The colonials were angry. There were public protests throughout the colonies over this interference in American business. Cries of "no taxation without representation" were made. This meant that colonial Americans wanted to be taxed by American representatives, not the British Parliament. On December 16, 1773, the Sons of Liberty, led by Samuel Adams, planned to show the Parliament how they felt about the Tea Act. They boarded the British ships docked in Boston Harbor, dressed up as Indians, and dumped nearly $1 million worth, in today's money, of tea in the water. This event came to be known as the Boston Tea Party. The British Parliament passed the coercive acts as punishment, but this only strengthened the resistance to the British Crown and pushed the two sides closer to war. Subscribe to our channel for more videos. Get your copy of Simple History, The American Revolution, available now on Amazon.
I'm going to take a look at that. Cool. That's the Boston Tea Party. All right. So that leads up to the war. So right before the war starts, about 33% of America is patriots, 30% is loyalists, and the other 33% just don't care. They're not really affected by the war or the British. They don't care at all. Watch this on your own. Great video, great song. So also, colonists have asked Britain and King George III to self-govern many times and have said, hey, we want to govern ourselves. We want to be our own country. And they've denied it every time. As far as other stuff, Britain is the most powerful country in the world at this time. They have a lot of colonies all over the world. Definitely one of the big powers at this time. If you don't know, Britain is like right here. It's a small island. Why should a tiny island across the sea regulate the price of tea? That doesn't make sense. Common sense. Why should a tiny island rule a continent? That doesn't make any sense. We'll get into that later. Oh God, I really want to play this. Don't know how many YouTube videos I can get away with. Please watch all of these. They're really good. Okay, so the war overview, basically it's America, which is the left side, versus Britain, and both of them are going to end up burning. Yes. So some overview, and I wasn't able to animate this, unfortunately. But the long story short is that America, the strengths and weaknesses, the strength is they're fighting on their home turf, and they can use guerrilla warfare, which means they can hide in bushes, do sneak attacks, little pot shots and run away. Really hard for organized armies to fight against that. They also get help from France, and they also get help from Spain, but mainly France. Their leaders are actually also very good seasoned veterans. George Washington and the other leaders all fought in the French Indian War, so they know what they're doing. As far as weaknesses for America, literally everything else. They're very badly organized. They're very disjointed, which means they're not united at all. Especially in the South, a lot of places in the South are loyalists, and not as many places in the South want to go to war. And a lot of them end up helping the British a little bit. As far as other stuff, there's no national currency to buy stuff with, so you need to buy supplies. Well, you can't buy supplies you have to have money to buy supplies. And if a lot of places that were like loyalists or didn't care, would not accept American currency, they would only accept British currency because they didn't have faith that the Americans would win the war. So it's really hard to buy stuff when you have no national currency. If we read the book, My Brother Sam is Dead, you see this a lot in the book. Another thing is that they are very poorly trained, so they don't have really any official training. They're just a ragtag group of soldiers, and they don't really get any formal training until they bring a couple Europeans over to help with the war. The other big thing is only 33% of them are patriots. That means, A, you don't have enough men to fight. B, a third of the country is actively rooting against you and actively helping, not only not helping you, but actively helping the British soldiers. So that's a huge deal. As far as British, the best strengths, they're the best army in the world, full stop. They have the best navy too. They are very wealthy. They are dummy rich. They also have a lot of support from Native Americans. They lost the war from loyalists, and then some African Americans sided with Britain because Britain promised them their freedom, that they would end slavery. I don't think that actually ever happened. I think they went back on that. But they have a decent coalition of support. As far as weaknesses go, King George III was bad, just straight up. Very unlikable, not the smartest, very full of himself. It was a very unpopular war too. If you living in Britain, a lot of British citizens did not want their tax dollars going toward fighting a war all the way across the world. It was very unpopular. The other thing is it's very expensive to fight in America because they had to put all their stuff on ships and ship it across the Atlantic Ocean to fight, 3,000 miles away. Very, very expensive to do. And then one of the things they had to do is they have to clearly win. They have to clearly blow out the Americans and capture Washington. Like, they have to win. If there's any kind of stalemate, then it's just prolonging the war. It's making it more expensive. It's a higher price tag, and America's fine with that. So if you're the invading country, you have to clearly win the war. Another thing is America's huge. America is gigantic especially compared to Britain. You cannot walk the entire country. You have to take a lot of different ships around. If they run west into farther from the coast, then Britain has to chase them, and they don't know the land. It's very unfamiliar. It's very you're very open to attack. So they're not as familiar with the land out there as obviously America has as on its home turf. When I think of the war, I like to think there's 3 phases of the Revolutionary War. The first phase is we suck. America gets wrecked. We lose New York, clearly outmatched, no supplies. They lose Battle of Bunker Hill, which I've been at. It's super cool hill. I digress. But it is there's a lot of military losses. The British end up taking New York, which used to be the capital of the United States. There's also a lot of fighting going on in Boston. It's not looking good. Phase 2, a little bit of hope. They win Washington crosses the Delaware River and the heroic painting, and they win the Battle of Trenton and the supplies necessary for it. It's a huge victory. They do it on Christmas Day, which is pretty lit. They also win the Battle of Saratoga, and they retake Boston. Battle of Saratoga really basically it's a turning point for the war because the entire world is watching this. No colony has ever overthrown the big power that controls it, if that's a good way of saying it. No colony has ever won, basically, for independence. And usually, America's getting its teeth kicked in. People are looking at this saying, ooh, yeah, this isn't a good idea. America was dumb for getting into this. They're going to lose. And then Saratoga happens, and the whole world goes, oh, okay, wait a second. Maybe they got this. And then the French end up offering their support to the Americans. And without it, they don't win. Without it, America loses. The next thing that happens is Valley Forge. We're going to learn about that later. It's basically surviving winter, and it's very difficult. And then phase 3, the comeback. Don't call it a comeback, but call it a comeback because we start to win. We take back New York, and then the last battle of the war is the Battle of Yorktown, which we win very well for the win. YOLO, good job. Thank you, France. Thank you very much. And here's what the fighting looked like. Once again, watch this on your own time. But this shows you how guerrilla warfare worked really well. Lastly, if you're still confused, watch the Brain Pop video. Also does a good job doing the revolution. And the rest of this is Hamilton songs that show these different phases. Really encourage you to watch all of these. They're very good. And this is going to be the Battle of Yorktown. If you need any support or you don't understand something, this YouTube channel, Oversimplified, is the greatest YouTube channel for history, especially for middle school and high school, or even college, ever created. These are great videos as well. They're actually pretty funny too. So Oversimplified, great series. If you need help, I'm going to point you straight to this presentation. You're going to watch all these videos. All right, the next assignment is going to be your American Revolution test prep assignment, where you're going to look at a whole bunch of different sources and eventually decide if you're going to be loyalist or patriot. All right, that's all for me. Have a good day.